Capture the Flag, written by Kate Messner. Chapter 5, read by Sierra Richmond. For the next 2 hours, Anna watched the snow outside fall in heavier blankets and the line of angry travelers at the ticket counter grow longer. Henry played his video games. Jose thumbed through a volume of Bartlett's Familiar Quotations that looked every bit as loved as his copy of Harry Potter. "Hey," Anna finally said, nudging Jose's elbow. "Do you want to go get some food?" She held her breath, wondering if he was still upset. Jose held up a finger, turned a page, and looked up. "Sure." Anna let out her breath. Jose found his father, who was back at the CNN screen where new storm reports were coming in. "I'm going to get a snack, Dad, okay?" He dropped his backpack at his father's feet with a thud. "Can you watch this for me?" "Sure." Mr. McGilligan waved over his shoulder, gazing up at the blue and pink radar images. Anna turned to Henry. "Are you coming? You should probably tell your flight attendant." "You kidding? She'll never miss me." Henry flicked a hand toward the counter where the flight attendant was typing frantically and talking to the first in a long line of irritated passengers. Anna hoisted her backpack over her shoulder and led them into the main hallway of Terminal B. She had to wait a few seconds for an opening in the river of people pulling luggage and rushing past with briefcases. Everybody was all stuck and clogging the halls like a spring ice jam in the Winooski River back home. "Hey, there's Pickersgill Diner. Let's get burgers." Henry stepped up to a long, long line that snaked out from a darkened wood-paneled restaurant. "Looks like everybody had the same idea," Jose said. "Get some food and settle in for a long day and night in the airport." "Man, this stinks," Henry said, kicking the "Hostess will seat you" sign. "Yeah, but don't you think it's kind of cool to spend the whole night here?" Anna said. "It'll make a great news story." Anna ran her hand along the edge of the Hostess sign, imagining what she'd write. She could talk about the snow and the flag news and the crowds. Plus, if she could manage to keep running into Snickerbottom, somewhere in that long night, he would have to give her an interview, wouldn't he? And who knows who else might be stuck here? All kinds of interesting, important people visited Washington, D.C. There could be other dignitaries from the History Museum reopening, or... "Oh my gosh!" Anna said it so loudly the woman in front of them turned and stared. "Sorry," Anna said, but she could barely keep her voice down as she pulled Jose and Henry into a huddle. "You guys, I just had this thought. What if whoever stole the flag is stuck here too? With the flag!" Jose pursed his lips and looked down at the diamond-shaped tiles on the floor. "Not likely. You've seen the flag. It's enormous. Trying to sneak it through an airport wouldn't be too bright. But you never know, right?" Anna looked around and lowered her voice. "What if the thief is waiting for burgers in this same line? Think about it! We need to investigate." She stood up straight. "It's our responsibility as Silver Jaguar Society members." "Will you?" "Shh!" Jose frowned. "First of all, they're not going to be here. And second, even if they were, it's not our job to investigate. We're not society members. My mom says you have to be 18. Anna sighed. The words, "you have to be 18, should be banned from the English language. We could totally investigate, and we should. We are here, after all, right here at the airport, and no one else from the society is, are they?" Anna forced her voice quiet again. "I mean, I know it's probably not here, but if it is? If it was, and if they found it, that would be the best story ever, and her mom would see that she was plenty old enough and smart enough to know more about the society. It would be so amazing." "How many?" The hostess, a young woman with spiky pink hair and a small silver nose ring, tapped her clipboard. "3, please." Anna craned her neck to get a glimpse of the television behind the bar. Maybe there would be more flag news. "This way." The hostess led them to a table that almost got hit by the swinging door to the kitchen every time it opened. Anna leaned across the table toward Jose and Henry. So what do you think? Henry picked up a menu. Awesome. Awesome you'll investigate with me? No. Awesome, they have root beer floats. It's possible, said Jose, that someone here could know something. But what? Do you have macaroni and cheese? Jose asked the waitress who had appeared. Yep, I'll have that. I'll have a root beer float, cheeseburger, and fries, Henry said, with ketchup. She turned to Anna. And you? Oh, Anna flipped menu pages. Why, when she was in the middle of a great idea, did everybody need to stop to eat all the time? I'll have a tuna melt with fries. She handed her menu to the waitress and leaned back in toward Jose. You said but. But what? For starters, that theft was hours ago. Whoever took the flag is probably far away by now. And also, like I said before, we're not 18. It's not our job. Not our job? But it's like Snickerbottom said. When something like this happens, every American has to do his or her part, no matter how old we are. We're here at the airport, so we should do what we can here and interview people or look for clues or... Don't you feel like it's all of our responsibility? My responsibility is to knock out these bank robbers. Henry picked up his Super Game Prism 5000 again. Otherwise, I can't get to level 10. Jose looked at Henry, poking at his game prism, and shook his head at Anna. Sorry, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I agree with him. He took out his book. Anna threw her hands in the air. You are such boys! What is wrong with you? You spend your whole lives looking for excitement in video games and movies and books. And then when something big finally happens, you're too busy reading and poking at some super game thingy to do the real live exciting thing right there in front of you. Tuna melt? The waitress held it over the table, floating from person to person. That's me, Anna said. While Henry and Jose ate their lunch, Anna took advantage of their full mouths to do all the talking. Think about it. Everybody who was at the museum reception is either in town or headed home today, and that means that whole big bunches of them are here at the airport, stuck here, with us, and maybe with the flag. Don't you see? Jose poked the tine of his fork through a single macaroni and lifted it to his mouth. It's possible, he said. It's more than possible. Anna picked up the shaker of hot pepper from the table and tipped it back and forth, watching the red and gold flakes tumble on top of one another. It's probable. And if we interview some of those people, I bet we'll get some clues. And if we get enough, they'll start to make sense. Like a jigsaw puzzle when you get enough pieces in, and then all of a sudden you can see it's a ship or a carnival scene or whatever, and everything's clear, you know? Henry stared at her. Then he went back to his game. Jose looked up at the television over the bar. The anchorman was on again. Turn it up, Morgan, a muscular man behind the bar hollered, and the hostess raised the volume. An extremely fragile piece of American history. Authorities continue to investigate all leads, and they say no one with access to the flag chamber has been ruled out as a suspect. Anna wondered if that included Jose's mom. She glanced over at him, but his eyes dropped to the last of his macaroni. Since the snow has halted traffic out of the city for now, investigators believe the thief or thieves are still nearby. See, Anna said. See, I think that's why. Are you even listening to me? Jose was staring at the bar. Anna turned to follow his gaze and saw the big guy who had shouted before, frantically untying his apron and shuffling through papers next to the cash register. Morgan, he called, so loud that even Henry looked up from his game. You need to take over here. I have to go. He handed her an order pad and came out from behind the bar so fast he tripped on the edge, stumbling right into the table where Anna, Henry, and Jose sat. He reached out to catch himself, and on his upper arm, peeking out from the sleeve of his blue t-shirt, was a tattoo of a curled-up black snake that looked like it was about to strike. Before Anna could get a better look at it, the man had pushed off the table and disappeared out the door. "That snake-arm guy was sure in a hurry," Henry said. "You done?" He eyed Anna's sandwich. She hadn't even taken a bite. "No." She stared at the swinging door and wondered where Snake-Arm had gone so quickly. Yes, I'm done. I'll take my tuna melt to go. We need to get started." Anna paid and boxed up her sandwich, but before she'd taken 3 steps outside the restaurant, an enormous gray poodle came barreling down the hallway and almost knocked her off her feet. She caught her balance but dropped the box, and her sandwich slid out onto the floor. "Hammurabi!" called a voice from down the hall. The poodle skidded to a stop and tipped its head at the voice. It bounded a few steps back toward Anna. Then, in one giant bite, it snarfed up half her tuna melt and took off down the hallway. "Oh, you must please accept my apologies." A boy rushed up to them, wringing his hands. He looked a little like Jose, but smaller and with darker eyes. He wore khaki pants and a long-sleeved polo shirt with "Sounds for a Small Planet" embroidered on the chest. He looked off down the hall where the poodle had paused next to gate B15 to chew. "He has been caged up all day long, and we just got the permission to get him out. He is a bit—" "Energetic," offered Jose. "Full of beans," said Anna, laughing. She wasn't upset over her sandwich. She was too busy thinking to be hungry anymore. "No, I think he is full of your lunch," the boy said. "Hammurabi!" he called more sharply, and the dog trotted over, licking mayonnaise from his snout. Anna smiled. It's a figure of speech. Full of beans means Hammurabi likes to get into trouble. "Oh!" The boy's face lit up. "That is a new one." He pulled a small sketch pad from his back pocket, took out a charcoal pencil, and began to draw as if he'd forgotten where they were. "Here is our Hammurabi, full of beans," he said, finally holding up the pad. "That's awesome." Henry put down his video game and nodded toward the sketch pad. "You got other drawings in there?" The boy smiled shyly and flipped through the pages. "Let the cat out of the bag." "Do you think I'm made of money?" "I'm at the end of my rope." Anna smiled at the last one. "That's what my mother says when she sends me to clean my room and I sit in my closet writing instead. It means she's losing her temper, getting angry." "I know," the boy said. "These I have already learned. This is for me the most challenging part of American English. I keep a list of these figures of speech, as you call them." He flipped the sketch pad closed. "I like to draw what they say, but do not mean." "Where are you from?" Anna asked. "Pakistan. My mother was born there, and my father is from Turkey. Both of my parents are with Sounds for a Small Planet, the orchestra." Anna nodded. "I saw your dog dancing at the museum reception. He's funny. It's neat that you get to travel with your folks. How old are you?" 8. Too young to be part of the orchestra myself, but my parents play tuba, and the orchestra was needing tubas. Hammurabi and I were, part of the deal, as you say." He held out his hand. "I'm Sinan. It is a pleasure to meet you." "I'm Anna, and this is Jose and Henry. We met at the gate with the delay and all." "Yes, it is quite a storm." Outside, the wind was picking up. Snow blew horizontally past the big windows. Sinan tucked his sketch pad back into his pocket and gave the poodle a pat on the head. "What's your dog's name again?" Henry asked. "Hamburger?" "Hammurabi," Sinan answered. "He is named for an ancient king who united countries and built many things. Temples, canals." He gave his sneaker a shake so Hammurabi would stop drooling on it. "Unfortunately, our Hammurabi would rather chew things apart." "He's still pretty cool," Henry said, petting the dog. "Thank you. I should get him back to my parents now. The orchestra members are hoping to play for a bit in the main concourse if they can get their instruments out of the baggage area. Just to pass the time. Perhaps you would like to come and listen?" "Sure," Jose said. "I'd love to do that," Anna said. "Let me go tell my dad. That'll be a great way to kill some time." They headed toward the main concourse, with Anna and Hammurabi in the lead, Henry finishing the other half of Anna's sandwich, and Sinan scribbling furiously in his sketch pad the whole way. Killing time.